No better sound. No better sound. Hey, welcome back, gang. Jason here from Hop and Barrel. Today we're going to be talking about my favorite style of beer, the India Pale Ale, or IPA for short. As we pour this incredibly beautiful IPA from Trillium Brewing Company out of Canton, Massachusetts, into my favorite glass, I want to talk to you about the 4 flavors of an IPA. Floral, juice, pine, and bitter. Now an IPA can have all 4 of these, as this one does. That's what we call a very well balanced IPA. No single one of these flavors sticks out above the rest. Sometimes it might stick out a little more. It might be a touch bitter, a touch piney, a touch juicy, but for the most part, it's smooth and consistent from start to finish. These are what you're going to see in a lot of major IPAs that are for mass consumption in the market. And then you're going to have some specifically from the New England breweries, like Trillium, that are very juice forward. You're going to have some that are very floral forward. That's where you really get the flower aspect of the hop petal. Piney, that's the sticky residue that comes from the fact that it is a hop plant. And then bitter, that is the stereotypical face-puckering flavor that people think of when they think of an IPA. This brew from Trillium happens to have all 4 of these in equal amounts, in my opinion. It might be a touch bitter, but not enough to detract from the juice, the hint of pine, and the floral. Floral's really going to come out in the aromatics of a beer, and that's why glassware is very important. You're going to be able to smell the hop aromas. Juice. Juicy IPAs, specifically New England style IPAs from places like Trillium, are a really good gateway into the IPA for people who don't like IPAs. What they do is they allow you to have a more juicier experience, cutting the bitterness and often cutting the pine. When you have a piney IPA, it's sticky. People are going to talk about that as a sticky beer. It has that resiny flavor. It's thicker. It has a little more syrupy flavor in your mouth. Some people can call it dank. Why? Because the Humulus lupulus plant comes from the Cannabaceae family. That's right. The hops share an origin with Mary Jane. That's why they smell so interesting. They smell so dank. I don't really know how to describe dank other than it smells dank. You know weed when you smell it, just like you know hops when you smell it. IPAs can have a dank flavor and a very, very dank aroma depending upon the types of hops used and how much of them. And bitter, again, that's that really puckering flavor. A lot of times those flavors happen when the hops are added very, very late or in very, very gratuitous amounts during the brewing cycle. So these are the 4 flavors of an IPA. The way you drink an IPA is first by pouring it in the way that you saw me pour it. Make sure your mouth or your palate is cleansed. Water. Some people even have sorbet after a meal. Green tea sorbet, if you can find it. It's pretty specialized, but you're good with water. You take a look. You can see that this is a fairly hazy IPA despite it being so balanced. And you tilt her on back. Now when I'm drinking a beer, on a first swig like that, I'll kick it back. I like to take a big gulp to feel the beer in my mouth for the mouthfeel. Mouthfeel is essentially how the beer feels in your mouth, how it rolls over your tongue. And then I swish my tongue around. You have different taste receptors on your tongue all over the place, so I like to move my tongue around to try to get all 4 of these flavors. And then I just kick it on back. I bring her on down. I finish it. You get a different flavor sometimes on the finish. At the top, I'm reaching back here, at the back of your mouth and on the top of your mouth. That's where you're going to get a very nice aromatic flavor. When I drink a floral IPA, that's where I feel it, versus a juicy IPA where you get it right on the front, right on the tip of your tongue. So those are the 4 ways to drink an IPA. This is a great beer, and it shows that Trillium's not a one-trick pony. They are kind of the kings or kind of the godfathers of the whole haze craze and the juice bomb IPAs that are really raging throughout the country. I won't say they're the originators of it, they're the perfecters of it. This scaled IPA, they make a lot of different variations of it. They'll do a double dry hopped. They'll do versions with grape must. And these get really hazy, really fast, and take on a juicier flavor. Along with some of their others, like Cutting Tiles and their dialed series. They have dialed up, dialed in. We have scaled up, regular scaled, and different variations of that. And that's the beauty of the hop. It brings out different flavors depending upon what hops are used and when they're used and how much. And then you can add different flavors. This shows that Trillium nails the basics and brings out an incredible beer. I'm really happy with this one. Shout out to my friends Jenna and Jordan who went up to Boston recently and brought this back. The sad part about Trillium is that they do not distribute. They don't need to. They get lines out the door in both of their locations. In their downtown Boston location near the Seaport District and in Canton, Massachusetts, not very far away, lines on big releases, and they make incredible beer. I'm very happy to have gotten this. I've had some of their more juicy variations, some of their different variations that bring out these flavors. So it's really nice to get a basic IPA from them and see what they can do. And they really nail it. This reminds me of a regular Sculpin. It reminds me of a 90-minute, a little bit less bitter, 90-minute IPA from Dogfish Head's. I would say it's significantly more bitter. Again, that's what I would call somewhat of a well-balanced IPA. Main Lunch is another really, really good one. That leans a little floral. I hope to be able to review that. That's another one that's hard to find. But this, I'm very happy with this beer. It's one that I'm going to be able to kick back and really enjoy for a good period of time. And I highly recommend that if you're in the Boston area or even the New England area, you try to get your hands on some Trillium because you will not be disappointed. And so that's your tasting lesson for today. I hope you enjoy this beer if you can find it. And if not, I hope you enjoy me enjoying it. Cheers.